Welcome everyone to today's call on dog training prison programs. We have already just been discussing
Shannon, you just went on mute. So for some reason, I don't know why.
what is something that was important but is now becoming less and less relevant for you. I've been working a lot on just trying to not have my life planned out so much and be less stressed over not being planned and working on being more spontaneous. And that's really helped me enjoy life a bit better. What's something that you've been able to kind of let go and allow to become less relevant? And please feel free to unmute yourself, or you can also share in the chat.
Hello, everybody. I can say the main thing for me is the thought of failure. That's something that I have. It's something that weighs heavy on me at times, mainly because of my background and where I came from, and being in prison. Nobody wants to have flaws or anything that's more so, for lack of better words, imperfect. You want to be right. You don't want to have some type of infraction against you. So coming out into the world, I wanted to do everything right. I didn't want to fail. And then I had to accept the fact that I am going to fail at something. It's just a learning process of life that you have to go through. And that's been something I just more so lax on. All right, if I don't do the yard this way, all right, it still got done. You know, it's still right and it still looks good. It doesn't have to be precise like what they showed on the YouTube video. And that's about it.
Thank you for sharing. I'm also seeing in the chat, just kind of forging your own path and not being tied to society's expectations. Changing cultural restrictions and traditions. Those are all great and things that we all tend to stress ourselves out over. I think the social mores part is something we all sometimes fall into. I even stopped wearing pink for a while because I didn't want that pink to define me as being girly. But I have since said, I love the color pink and it doesn't have to define me just because I'm wearing it. Offering excuses, stopping offering excuses, that's great. Just being who we are. All right. We often say not to let being perfect get in the way. Yes. Letting go of career tracks, that's important as well. Thank you everyone for your comments and engaging on this topic. It's important that we do find some work-life balance. My name is Shannon Martin Roebuck. I am Executive Director of Bridging Impact, and my wonderful and talented co-host is Ariel Zhang. I think now we are going to move on to our winner announcements next, our June winners.
Yes, I am ready. I'm so excited to announce our June winners. Hi, everyone. I'm Irene Chancelong. I'm a Senior Grant Specialist at Maddie's Fund, here to wish our winners well today. Let me just share my screen. Can you all see this?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, okay. Well, sorry.
There it goes. There it is. There.
Too far. Okay, well, congratulations to our 4 winners for community conversations for the month of June. $2,500 each goes to Becky Costner from Let Love Live in Minnesota, Linda Rubin from Beck's Place of Monroe, Washington, Mary Flores at Soy Dog Lodge and Training Center in Tucson, Arizona, and Philip Zimmerman from Front Street Animal Shelter, Sacramento, California. And for our Maddie's Pet Forum winner of $3,000. That goes to June Thomas from Central Arkansas Rescue Transport of Little Rock, Arkansas. And so I think some of the folks are on the call today. If any of our winners would be so kind as to just unmute for a brief moment and share their excitement or what they might plan to do with these winnings. We'd love to hear from you.
Hi, I'm June Thomas, Central Arkansas Rescue Transport, and it was a wonderful month for us because the topic was transport, and that's all we do. So it was great being able to talk to people about transport and provide some resources. So it's great. And what am I going to do for the money? We're actually doing a customization project with Dubert, which is a transport management system. We use that. And so there's some streamlining of the way we use the system that we're doing. So it's going to be used there to streamline our processes. And just to let you know, in the first 6 months of this year, we have a coalition in Arkansas with 6 members. We sent 615 animals out of the state to partners in 5 states. So we're very excited at our ability to get out, and that included, we mainly do cats, but we were able to get 121 dogs out also. And we pull a lot from rescues and shelters that euthanize, or even if they don't, moving them means they can take and do additional capacity. So thanks so much.
Congratulations. Anybody else on the call?
Sure. Philip Zimmerman here from Front Street. Great news. Well, you know, again, as we are a municipal shelter, we have a lot of really great programs, robust dog and cat and foster programs, owned animal assistance, robust volunteer programs. Unfortunately, that's not covered by our city funded budget. So donations and grants allow us to have these programs. So again, yeah, just it goes to all those wonderful things. Again, when I heard that, you know, we won, you know, at $2,500 is one of our programs is the owned animal assistance program, and $2,500 is the cap that we actually would provide financial services to own pets. So I thought that was kind of ironic. So we could actually think about, we could help one pet with that $2,500 and keep them from being surrendered to the shelter.
Hi, I'm Linda. I'm from Beck's Place, and thank you so much. We are just so appreciative. As I was saying in my email, it's like such a gift to, you know, be able to attend these conversations and learn so much and get so much support. And then potentially, you know, we get a grant for it as well. So thank you so much. And for us, we're a very small organization, so that's a huge amount for us, and it helps, you know, continue to pay for staffing for us to be able to, we provide foster boarding services for people who are, that's a barrier for them to receive the services they need, like if they need to go into treatment, or if they are experiencing homelessness, or other medical concerns or domestic violence. So this helps us get the word out, helps us do outreach to get more fosters, outreach to all the organizations in our area that work with people who need our services. So thanks again.
Thank you. And Becky and Mary, was there anything you wanted to
Hey, yes. Hey guys, we are so super excited to be receiving this. Oops, am I muted? Did I freeze? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, nothing was moving. And I'm Becky with Let Love Live. I am on the Minnesota side, but I'm the director for our program on the Texas side also. And we actually just kicked off our CAT program on our Minnesota side. So we, this is at the perfect time to be able to help us with a lot of medical cases and everything for helping the cats. Our program specifically pulls from other rescues and everything. And so it was perfect timing because we were just looking at pulling some dogs or our cats from another rescue that needed some help with not having to euthanize cats here in Minnesota. So that is perfect and amazing for us to be receiving this at this time. So, and this, anybody that has other staffing and everything, I've been having these calls since COVID first started, when they first started way back then and everything. And these calls are such an amazing resource that I think everybody needs to really be pushing for their staff and everybody else to be joining these calls too, just because it can help everybody collaborate with a lot of other organizations and stuff too. So that way they don't see that the struggle is just real for them in their organization, but that everybody kind of has that pressure and stuff. So it's great to have the resources and the partnerships and then also friendships that have been created over the years. So, but thank you so much. We're super excited.
All right, well, congratulations to all of you who won some grant funding, and thank you for all that you do. Next, we'll run up to national updates. Please feel free to unmute yourself and share any updates you'd like us to know about.
Okay, hi again. I just wanted to announce that July 10th is Dr. Lila Miller Shelter Medicine Day. So dubbed the Mother of Shelter Medicine, Dr. Miller has taught generations of veterinarians and paved the way for women of color in the field. So in 2021, she received the Avanzino Leadership Award from Maddie's Fund, and we invite you to celebrate by watching her recording from the 2022 HSUS Expo when she was the keynote speaker. I'd also like to take a brief moment. Our steering committee members don't know this, but just wanted to thank all of our members who have served over the past year, and they've shared their time and talent to build this community. Maddie's Fund couldn't be happier to continue amplifying diverse voices and stories. We'll introduce you to the new steering committee members in August, but for now, please give your virtual applause to Claire Callison, Allison Cardona, Ed Jameson, Bobby Mann, Renita McCaskill, Shannon Roebuck, and Ariel Zhang. Thank you all.
Thank you, Irene. And I just wanted to let everyone know that if you had to re-register to join these weekly community conversations, please use that same link to update your calendars for this recurring meeting.
Actually, if I could just jump in, you
Yeah.
shouldn't have to re-register. People just go to your calendars and put in the same link that you used to join. So if anybody was confused about that, please feel free to reach out to us. But you should not have to re-register. If you had, then going forward, you'll be fine. But you just use the same link that you used to join and update your calendars with that link.
Okay.
Thank you.
And Ariel, I will pass it over to you.
Amazing. Okay, well, guys, so we did the dog training prison program in April. There was so much excitement. We brought it back for round 2. And today we have some pretty incredible people. We have Zach, who is the executive director of Marley's Mutts. And within his organization, there is a program called Pawsitive Change. And it is really special that we have 2 graduates of that program. So we have Brian and Didontae, getting that name right. And then also we have Cherie from Infinite Possibilities. And without further ado, passing it off.
Good afternoon, morning to all of you guys. I really appreciate all of the help that on your guys' side of this. I just want to give a quick caveat and just say thank you. I've been sick for the last couple of days with both of my daughters, and last night was just brutal, and I wasn't sure I could pull this together, but you guys were very, very supportive. So thank you. This really does feel like a wonderful vibe, and I'm happy to be able to get to share this with you guys. And I'm going to give you a little bit of background about the program, what it's composed of, and then I'd like to kind of bring Didontae and Brian into kind of help provide me with some color for the entire presentation. The presentation in terms of what we're doing, how we train, what we're getting into, but also a lot of the after incarceration stuff, a lot of the so we'll just get into it. If you wouldn't mind, guys. Also, we're I'll have to say slide, so bear with me. We're technologically as advanced as we can. So Welcome to Pawsitive Change, you guys. This is the thing I am the most passionate about in life. You know, I've been involved in animal welfare now for 22 years, and this is the thing that really blows my hair back and really makes me feel like we're onto something so large socioculturally in terms of shifting and improving two really important entities, which are the prison system and the shelter system. So, slide. Joining us today are the gentleman on the left is Didontae Farmer. The gentleman on the right is Brian James, and I have known these gentlemen since 2017. I met them at Corcoran State Prison. Didontae was incarcerated at 14 for a juvenile crime that he committed while a juvenile and served 18 years, the last 3 years in our program at Corcoran State Prison, the only level 4 dog program we've ever had in the state of California. Brian was also incarcerated at Corcoran State Prison on Sea Yard, where we had our dog program. He did 29 years in prison. He's been out for about a year. And both of these gentlemen are working in the field of podcasting as the hosts of the Strangest Fruit podcast, but they are also very involved in the dog world. Brian has worked at LA Canines in Santa Monica, so has Didontae. Didontae's working on his own company, his own training service, his own private training company, which he's really getting off the ground. He's just moved into his first house, and things are really moving positive in that direction. So we formed a very tight bond over these last years, especially since these two very worthy gentlemen got out of prison. So I'm sure we'll get to elaborate throughout this slide. This is just some of their backgrounds. You guys can check it out real quick, but this is basically what I just spoke on. Both of these gentlemen are professional dog trainers in our community in Los Angeles. Each of them served a very long time in prison, both incarcerated as children, and you know, both are a very vulnerable population when it comes to success, recidivism, et cetera. And they're both doing extremely well out there in this world. Yeah, you can slide. That was great. Thank you. Slide. Yeah, there we go. So this is me. I'm the founder of Marley's, Mutts, and Pawsitive Change. I don't want to get too much into my background. Slide. But I just wanted to touch base on a little bit of what got us into working with the incarcerated and working with people in recovery. Was my own bout with liver disease brought on by alcoholism and drug addiction, and my rescue dogs helping pull me out of that spiral, and not only giving me purpose in life, but really having me root down in this rescue and in all of this work, and find why I was put on this planet. So my kind of trajectory is it falls in line with Pawsitive Change, because it's very much why I wanted to get involved in the prison system, was to provide the same exact rehabilitation that took place with me on the outside with my dogs trying to overcome liver failure. It's just such a powerful mutual rehabilitation. What we need in recovery are, you know, rules, boundaries, limitations, structure, affection, exercise, love. And that's exactly what dogs need in recovery. So when we recover side by side with dogs, the possibilities are endless, and it's a very effective rehabilitation. Slide, please. So what is Pawsitive Change, and where is Pawsitive Change? We have operated in 8 state prisons all over California, but currently we operate in 3 state prisons for men, 1 women's federal prison program out in Victorville at the Federal Women's Prison Complex. And then we have 2 juvenile programs, a boys program in Malibu, which Didontae is actually the lead trainer for, and then a girls program in Bakersfield. Didontae, you want to hop in here real quick and just elaborate a little bit on Malibu and what that's like? We just had our first graduation at Camp Kilpatrick, which is a juvenile prison in the hills of Malibu. And Didontae and David Galvanized, another student of ours, were the lead trainers on that. So you want to hop in there and give a little info on the Malibu program?
Under one condition, you take that hat off and you show that mohawk.
Oh,
you show that
man.
mohawk.
There we go.
There you go. There you go. All right.
I'm just trying to cover up all the sickness.
As easy as that with me. Hello, everybody. So Pawsitive Change, as Zach said, started off, and well, you can hear the siren. Sorry, I'm out in traffic right now.
Yeah, just elaborate a little bit about Malibu and what that's been like teaching that class, what it's been like working with those kids and that population. Maybe even talk about Tony.
I was waiting on this fire truck to go by. So For me, it's personal. It's something that really means a lot and it touches my heart because I grew up in these facilities. It's exact the same facilities that I was tried as an adult at as a kid and sentenced to prison. And I'll say this from the beginning, you can see the magic happening. This program in the juvenile facility in Los Angeles County is the first ever to ever have this program with dogs inside this facility, especially where almost all of their facilities are being shut down or they have just a dark cloud hanging over. So Pawsitive Change brought a light in. We started with 5 juveniles, 5 of which all graduated, and our turnaround from the first round is now 16 juveniles. So the entire juvenile facility is now signed up for the program. And you get to see boys take on responsibility. You get to see the natural stresses of life affect them, and you get to help them and guide them along the way, all the while they're teaching these dogs and receiving unconditional love. And then the benefit of it is you get a career. You get to actually walk out of here. I think 3 of the guys in there are actually being paid real jobs while they're there. They get paid to train the dogs. So it's more of an incentive to say, hey, keep on going, keep doing this. And it's the first program that we had, if I'm not mistaken, Zach, that an actual judge has left the bench, came to the facility and attended the graduation, and has now allowed Pawsitive Change to take dogs into her courtroom while court is in session to sit with the kids. So it really means a lot. And it's going further and it's going further. 3 of the kids have actually got out and are trainers now. Tony Brown, he's a trainer out there. Tony Brown, I'll say the Malinois trainer, as we'll go to say. Yeah. He likes to get down to the small fines, and it's they have role models that walk like them, look like them, and talk like them. And then everybody they want Zach. Now with the kids, they see the chains, they see the rap music, they see the negative aspects of it, they see the drugs, but when they hear Zach, they say, oh, we want that. So to have him come in there, it's like, they meet the celebrity. They're like, all right, now I want to be like that. I want to be a dog trainer. I want to be a behavioralist. And, kids are just now meeting their families. They're meeting their mothers. Some of them haven't seen their family for 2 years, and their families are coming out of the woodwork saying, all right, we support you now. Whereas before, not to say that it's a good to say, oh, we shun away from family members that are in prison or locked up, but now they're coming out and they're showing support. And these kids have something to cling on to, and they have a community, they have brotherhood, and they have friendship, and they have family. As soon as they get out, one of us is there. Hey, come here, come here. You want to come train? You want to come shadow? Ask me anytime. Come call. It's a beautiful thing.
Let's move on to the next slide. I want to get in as much as we can, but one of the things I wanted to elaborate on is the juvenile prison system is a very strange place. It's a lot more geared towards life in mainline facilities. So these kids, this is their last moment for them to be reached. And a lot of these guys are looking to do their time in the main lines, looking to get in that credibility, looking to do their, their pipeline to prison, looking to put in their work. And to have guys like David Galvez, who served 18 years and on Didontae, to be able to go in there, it's a whole different vibe in that facility. All the kids coalesce around the 2 of them. There's this real respect and honor. It's a whole different approach. There's a lot more cohesiveness within the facilities. So how we started Pawsitive Change was a friend of mine got out of prison after 13 years, and he was essentially a feral human. He had a really, really difficult time with interpersonal connections, with violence, with feeling that people were a threat when they weren't, obviously any sort of interaction with a female. And Robbie's life, I paired him up with a dog I was fostering who was a reactive pity. She'd actually been shot in the chest, and we pulled a 40 caliber bullet out of her lung. We had to remove 2 of the lobes of her lung, but that dog changed his life forever. He's a Los Angeles, he's a gang member who served his time and was headed right back into that life, and worse so, didn't really understand how to communicate and interact with folks on a social basis. And giving him shadow changed all of that. Slide, please. It changed his life. He ended up getting hired at Free to Live Animal Sanctuary. We hired him as our ranch manager. He then went on to start his own rescue called Strength of Shadow, which is named after his dog that we rescued together. And I knew in that moment that this was something we needed to initiate. And we tried very hard to work out something related to recovery and rehabilitation. But this was the catalyst that really got me going on this trajectory. We got denied. Slide, please. We got denied I wanted to share this with you guys. We're all nonprofit directors with a dream. You know, some of us have really struggled, and we've really gotten our butts kicked out there, and we've really had, you know, perturbations of highs and lows that are hard to roll with. And I just wanted to share that, you know, we spent 4.5 years trying to get into the prison system. Every jail, I had no guidance, so it was very difficult to try to figure out how to do that. And you know, we got kicked out. Well, we got accepted and then rejected from multiple facility after facility after facility, including the jail system. It was just really frustrating. I couldn't get anyone to go along with this, you know, and we finally in 2016, after all that work, we were granted our pilot program, and the you know, it's been to the races ever since. So hang in there, you know, if you have an idea, if you have a program, if you have some sort of a spark in your mind that you know in your heart is going to be effective and can really create social change, stick with it, run it by other people, and you know, don't lose traction. Next slide, please. Locking up America. So in the United States of America, we incarcerate about 2.5 million people between the federal and the state system. You know, we incarcerate a million, well, millions of dogs in the shelter system every year. And these are very dark entities. They're silos of negativity. The prison system, which costs, it's a nearly $100 billion industry. And then the animal sheltering industry, which is something in the range of 35 billion. So you have these tremendous, these tremendously negative entities that kind of mar our society, and that really are broken at a fundamental level. You guys can read all of this that I wrote, but I just would rather go stream of consciousness. Nobody is looking at the way the shelter system is set up right now, or the prison system, and saying, yeah, this is fine. Everything looks to be in order, and yeah, we'll just continue plodding along with this trajectory. We have 70% of all incarcerated end up committing crimes again and ending up back in prison. 70%. And in many cases, it's higher than that, especially at the federal level. That is a failure rate that, if you did anything in life, we're all small business people and rescuers, if you did anything within your job that poorly, you wouldn't have a job anymore. But we still haven't made genuine attempts to restructure the prison system as it exists. And what I'm proposing is that we integrate these two entities, the sheltering system in the United States of America and the prison system in the United States of America, because we have huge economies in the pet industry. This is, again, a $100 billion industry that has been ready and waiting to accept formerly incarcerated into its midst. We now have 18 formerly incarcerated dog trainers who are out on the street professionally dog training. They're taxpayers. They are no longer liabilities. They are small business owners. They are on a middle-class trajectory. Some of them have already reached it. That is a huge deal. Slide, please. Thank
rescue
you.
is
So
really
we can
just
play this in just one
putting a
second, but
Band-Aid
I
on a
just really
gunshot
want
wound.
to get
They're
people focused on
reproducing
how much these two entities can serve one another to make them far less dark. This is a video of ours about Pawsitive Change, about the shelter crisis, and about kind of what we're struggling through, which is that they're reproducing and they're coming through the front doors quicker than we can rescue them or train them. And so this talks about Pawsitive Change as an option.
Rescue is really just putting a Band-Aid on a gunshot wound. They're reproducing quicker than we can rescue them. Roughly 3 million animals are euthanized in the United States every year. Roughly 3 million people are incarcerated in the United States every year. Let's have inmates shoulder the burden of the shelter pet problem.
Prison is like, you can't give off to no weakness.
I was 17 when I first got arrested. I didn't get to prison until I was about 19. It was a rude awakening.
Prison's a nasty place. It was.
These are all
I
students
knew
of
I
dogs
needed
who have
help.
graduated and
I was
become
too afraid to
successful
ask
creatives.
for help, you know, and I was lost, and I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what to turn to.
It's pressure. It's constantly pressure, like a vice is on your soul. That's what it felt for me personally.
When you walk into a prison, you feel it. You feel it. And all the steel and the concrete, there's nothing organic. But it's the second you bring a dog by, everything changes. Everything changes.
I never thought that they was gonna have a dog program in prison, being locked up for 17 years. And all of a sudden, I see the sign on the wall, Pawsitive Change, they're about to open up a dog program. It was like, oh, that's a blessing, call it from God, you know.
born and raised and just grew up with dogs. I had tons of dogs. I love dogs. You know, it's probably 10 years before I actually seen a dog in the Pawsitive Change program.
I didn't have any experience working with dogs, period. Very difficult for me to comprehend the concepts, considering the approach that they use in the program, which is dog psychology. That's when I realized that it was gonna require much more for me emotionally, much more for me instinctually. I had to get to a place where I could rely on my instincts.
What I see when I go into prison is just a whole bunch of misunderstood human beings.
It helped me deal with my issues, my personal issues with family better, and also within the segregation in prison. The program, it brings a lot of us together because it's no way the program could work without everybody coming together. So it brought out a lot of unity.
Not only are these guys getting to give and receive love through this human canine bond, but they have purpose. They're not inmates. I don't train inmates. I train dog rescuers and dog trainers. And that's a beautiful thing to be able to provide someone who's been branded with this scarlet letter of felon, you know, and is living with that, wearing this jumpsuit, this uniform, you know, constantly carrying that on their psyche, and it's become them. And now they get to be a dog rescuer.
I've been rehabbing myself for 14 years, and it correlates. You know, all the behavior stuff that they go through, I go through. Everything I help them overcome, I'm overcoming. You know, fear, trust issues, you know, love, like everything goes hand in hand for me with the rehab process.
For you to train dogs and to work with dogs, your energy has to be positive. You have to be calm. You have to have a good energy, unless it won't work. Stern, but not aggressive, you know.
And some of our guys, I mean, like watching Jason work professionally now that he's out, this is somebody that was on America's. Is it okay if we move on to the next slide, please? Thank you very much. This one's tough for me to, oh yeah, there we go. So before we get into this slide, I wanted to have Brian jump in here real quick along with Didontae and talk about, like, what was it like when they talked about bringing a program into Corcoran State Prison? What were you worried about? What might have been some of the fail points? What were you skeptical about? Like, just walk me through some of the experience. Brian, if you could go first for me.
All right, can you hear me? Okay, I always remember coming in from the yard and seeing the Pawsitive Change memo on the wall. It was like a sign-up list. And at that point in my life, like, I had never, it wasn't even something a concept anybody even talked about, was having animals on yard, let alone the facility that we were on, which was like one of, if not the worst facility across California at that time. So yeah, it was unbelievable until the second you walked on the yard with that pit bull.
Yes, sir. And then what was it like? I want to elaborate a little bit on the two of you guys coming together, what it's like to get a program into a level 4 prison, having to deal with, you know, whether it's COs or keys or just internal natural politics. Like, you know, let's remind the audience, it's very important for those watching to understand that the California state prison system, more than any other state, is rigidly segregated. So things come down along the lines of race, whether it's whites, blacks, northerners, southerners, others, etc. And you know, very much so have to identify with that color. And if you don't, you know, it's a very precarious situation. So, you know, doing things like trading, eating, playing cards, working out with people outside of your race is very much so frowned upon. So how are you going to bring people outside of their race to work with each other in a dog program that requires 14 hours of you every day? So talk a little bit about that and what some of your skepticism might have been, or what the process of getting everyone comfortable with it was.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was like the big elephant on the yard at the time, and everybody was like curious and concerned about that, from the officers to the inmates, because like you said, there is that really rigid code inside prison that, you know, kind of dictates your day-to-day way of living. And like you said, one of those is you don't cross into, you know, other ethnicities, other you know, gang factions. It's really strict. but we were open to it. Like the crowd of us that signed up for it, you know, at the time I was on a path of change. So I was open to like hope and redemption and new experiences. And that meant more to me than, you know, actually what other people thought about me, you know, out there in the yard. And so I signed up and I went with it. And in the process, everything that I imagined you hoped for became the reality. Like, you know, in my case, I was paired up with Didontae. He's a person that I had known for a while, but we'd pass each other hundreds of times and just give the universal head nod of, you know, what's up, bro? How you doing? And we'd keep it moving. There was no conversation. There was no connection. But when you're assigned to rehabilitate and train a dog with another person, and you have to figure out your days, because I worked in the kitchen, you know, he had a job in the morning, so we had to navigate our days. We had to come together first thing in the morning, communicate with each other. Like, this is knocking down doors, like not doors, like humongous walls inside prison, you know, one of the most rigid prisons there were. And in the process, like you start to get to know a person and realize that, wow, like we have way more in common than we ever could have imagined. And it opens up your world and your perspective.
Yeah, definitely. Didontae, did you ever think you would become a dog trainer? Like 2017, you know, springtime, like what was your perception of the trajectory of where you were going to go? Like, what did you expect out of the program? I know you couldn't have expected to be like where you are right now. D? Did we lose Didontae? Well, no big deal. We'll move on to this slide, and what I want to unpack here is very important to the future of positive change and how these two systems can work together. As many of you guys know out there who are struggling within the shelter and rescue system, large juvenile dogs are having the worst go of it. I mean, our shelter is filled with huskies, pitties, shepherds, like just an unconscionable amount of large juvenile dogs. People are not going in to the shelter to adopt a 11-month-old pit bull with never been on a leash, no manners, etc. So what we're seeing in our community here, especially because we're relatively rural, is just an obscene uptick in large dog euthanasia. And what these dogs need in order to have live outcomes are training, and they need structure, like we talked about earlier, structure, discipline, rules, boundaries, limitations, exercise, love, affection. And that's what they get. Next slide, please. And that's what they get in the next slide, please. In positive changes, we have a whole lot of tools, you know, yeah, just one back if you don't mind. What we have the ability, what we've built out in our curriculum in terms of our training and what we're involved in every day is a very robust system of not only training, but of being able to adjust to and meet the needs of challenging dogs. So every 3-month program, our program is 14 weeks. So we are training inside of prison. The dogs are living there. We're going in every week for 3 to 4 hours. The program is 14 weeks long. That whole time, we're able to really unpack the needs of each dog and work on some of their particulars. You know, we have agility courses set up. We have a very in-depth curriculum in terms of dog psychology, but really we welcome all training modalities into what we do. Like we quite literally integrate everything. How you get from point A to point B as a trainer, as a positive change trainer, sometimes is up to you. We're not very rigid with the curriculum. You know, if you have slightly different ethos on this or that, we'll allow you to train the CGC for how it's most comfortable with you. But we're really looking to expand and enrich and supplement the program in terms of the curriculum as much as we can moving forward. We're adding the 4 agreements and Dr. Frankel's man's search for meaning to the curriculum in terms of reflection. Because one of the big things we work on here, like I talked about earlier, there's no inmates in here. It's dog rescuers and dog trainers. We're all making positive progress towards bettering ourselves. And when we talk about dog psychology, we're talking about what you're experiencing and all of that energy transitioning through that leash, that umbilical cord of energy into your dog. So there's a tremendous amount of psychological awareness, tremendous amount of psychological unpacking that takes place throughout the course of the program. Brian or Didontae, if either of you guys are in here, do you want to jump in and talk about that a little bit? Like the true structural, fundamental, like internal emotional process that was taking place? Because things got, we started to kind of heal each other. We started to, there's so much camaraderie, such a, like when you got that many people in a place that dark working towards bettering themselves, it just is the greatest thing in the world. So can you talk a little bit about what it was like when like the pod caught the fire of personal enrichment?
You want to go first, Brian?
I mean, I would I always refer to the moment where, you know, we had already established like a bond amongst each other, and like there was something special that was there that definitely like rippled across the yard. But I always remember a moment that like I think defined us is when there was a big a melee that occurred in one of the other buildings. Now this was a racial melee, and it was the same you know, mix of people that were in the Pawsitive Change program, and we were all aware of it, and everybody in the yard was aware of it. Now, when these things happen, the yard is completely locked down. But in our case, we're caring for animals, our doors have to open. So all eyes were on us, how we were going to respond to that situation. When the doors opened, we all walked out, we greeted each other like we always did, and we got to business working with those dogs, which were our priority at the time, what we all devoted to do and pledged to do with each other. And I think in that moment is when like the Pawsitive Change tribe, like we planted our flag that day.
Yeah, man. How about you, D?
Mine is honest. I just sit and I think about it all, and I just take a deep breath. It was a different reality for me, and the space that you live in and the environment that we had to really grow up in. For the longest, we were considered animals. That's what they called us. We were considered animals. Specific prison that we were at, Corcoran State Prison, they called us monsters. You had the likeness of Sirhan and Charles Manson there. It was just ugly. You know, people we were talked bad about, and I really didn't get recognized as a human being until I had a dog. Until I was able to be seen as a person who can care for another living, breathing thing unconditionally. That's when I was actually seen as a person. And that's when you'll see a lot of the guys, they'll say it, and they don't say it just to be, you know, just putting words out there into the atmosphere. And you hear us say, you know, this dog made me feel like a human again. It really makes you feel like a human. You indoctrinate a whole nother way of thinking. It's almost barbaric, the things that we do in prison in order to stay alive. We don't want to, but you have to stay alive. It's like the dog that hasn't eaten. And what do you think he's going to do if he sees food on the ground? He's going to try to steal it. He has to. Like, can you blame him? And in these situations, we needed a chance, and Zach took a chance. The captain that was there on the yard took a chance on us, and it just rolled, and it rolled all the way so much to where 6-7 years later, almost 9 years later in society, we're still on that same road, and we're tagging everybody else along. Come on, you know, come on, let's get involved. It doesn't stop. It's just a man who thinks he's completely grown as an adult is a man who's failed himself, because a man who knows who he is knows he's in constant evolution. We're just in constant evolution, getting better and getting better, and we just want the world to see the equality. Zach always says it, you know, equality, even when it comes to the state of mind. When you first get that first dog, you're like, you know, I love dogs more than I love humans. And I told Zach that one day. This was 2017. And he checked me, but it wasn't a checking of being mean. It was what an older brother do, is what your uncles do when you say something that you know you don't understand what you're saying. Because in order to have the dog, you have to have the human. If I wasn't able to get my first dog, Griffey, Zach wouldn't have ever came into my life. All these trainers who volunteer their time where they could be making thousands upon thousands a day to say, hey, I'm gonna go inside the most dangerous prison in the state of California and laugh and joke around with these dogs. And the things that you guys embodied, I've never was able to embody until ascertaining my freedom. And I'll shorten it up. To see the things that you individuals seen coming inside of a prison, to see people overdosing, to see people stabbed, to be able to go through that the way we go through it, and you're doing it voluntarily, goes to show how selfless you are, you know, as individuals. So it's the humanity with the animals coming together. and it's pure. That's the
Yeah,
best thing about the program. It's just pure. And
totally. It is
that's all I've
so.
been.
Yeah, man, that was perfect. It really is prison is such a dark place that it is encouraging you from every angle to be a negative person. It is discouraging progress in your life and self-growth from the moment you're in there until the moment you leave. Can you imagine not interacting with people outside of your race for 3 decades? What that might subconsciously do to you circling back into society? Every part of being incarcerated is being treated like an animal. And if you're going to be treated like an animal, you're going to have very low expectations of yourself, and you're going to have very little that can be taken away from you. So what do you have to lose but to just give in to the negativity? When the dogs come in and when you inject hope and when you create this kind of social structure that helps guide everybody within this kind of beacon of positivity, it makes everybody there, even if they're life without parole or death row or something, it makes everybody there feel like they're home or one step closer to home. And when you bring a little bit of humanity, a little bit of home into an institution, that's when progress starts. And that's why the simple kind of novelty of having dogs in there is so prolific and profound. But then it just gets better and better as we add more structure and more elements to the program itself. Would you mind changing the slide, please? So I wanted to just remind everybody that this large dog euthanasia problem is not going anywhere. It is worse than it's ever been. And I've never seen anything like it personally in Kern County, where we are just north of Los Angeles. And if you think about the number, we have 35 prisons in California. That's through the state system. And each one of those prisons is, I don't know, what would you say, Didontae or Brian, like 12 to 20 pods. And every one of those pods, you could have 10 dogs every 3 months rehabilitated. So the increment, the math here in terms of if we leverage the prison system and just one pod, that's 90 to 120 guys, 30 student participants and 10 dogs. So if you put just 10 dogs in a positive change program in, every pod that was available in California, you would have hundreds and hundreds you would basically turn prisons into rescue factories. And that's what we need to be doing. These guys can have, these dogs may gain certain hope when they come into positive change. They will get adopted. They are going to get adopted. They'll pass CGC. They'll get all of the things they need to become, to have a live outcome. So with the right financial support, with us getting the support to scale this, it's not that complicated. We've brought it into so many different situations, whether it's boys, girls, federal, state, level 4, level 2, level 1. We've been everywhere. We've really figured out how to dial it in. And if anyone on this call too would like to message with us about any of our pain points, a few other folks were here getting their own positive change type programs going, I would love to help you navigate some of the roadblocks that we've faced over the years and maybe help you avoid some of those catastrophes. So please, shoot me a message. But this is the potential here is massive. This could be scaled in every community in the United States of America. There's no reason for it not to be. And, or else these two institutions will exist as these sort of demonic, dark entities forever. And this is a really incredible way to leverage these individuals, have them be engaged in purpose, get them plugged into a job, when they are released, and have as many live outcomes for large dogs as we can. We really can rehabilitate these young, large kiddos in prison very, very well. So next slide, please.
Hey, Zach, actually, we have about a minute left. So I really want to make sure that we're giving some time. And so actually, if we can, I'm going to just go on the fly here and ask for 3 more minutes, but I would love to go to Q&A and bring Cherie in. Cherie, where are you at? There you are.
Hi guys.
Hi, Cherie. I would love for you to talk a little bit about how you guys are working on your program really quickly, and then maybe have time for a question or so.
Sure. So I'm on the small end of what Zach's been doing. I've actually been involved in the prison system with various dog programs since 2016, when I participated in an opening program for service dogs on a level 4 yard. And then I had to leave that program, and I came back and worked a program at Mule Creek State Prison. And when the rescue had to leave, I'm a trainer by trade. And so I was there training, and the rescue had to leave, and I could not imagine walking away from all the guys that I had been working with training. And so we made arrangements for me to open a nonprofit on the fly, and I opened a year ago. July 1st, we went in, and we kept the ball rolling with me on a steep learning curve. But the guys are amazing, like the way they have pulled together to make this program go, because of how important it is to them. So I think Didontae and Brian just did a really excellent job of speaking kind of for my guys also, because the importance is so incredible. And they have been so creative to keep this program going. So that's our program.
Can you guys talk a little bit about the adoptions process? So, and Cherie, maybe we'll start with you on the adoptions, and then we'll go to you, Zach, on after these animals are trained.
Yeah, sure. So in our adoptions process, and this is actually the process I've been trying to improve significantly, because one of my pain points is not being able to get photographs in prison. Like that's just a really difficult situation that we're actually working on now. And so what we do though, as a trainer, like I'm like, I want to make sure these dogs stay in the homes. So we have postgraduate training for the adopters. Like we stay with them. They have resources. I have an online program for them. So we've really beefed up that aspect of it. But in our training, it is difficult in our adoptions process because we don't have pictures. And that's a big barrier we're experiencing right now and trying to work through right now. So I'm interested to know how Zach managed all those pictures. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm so surprised they keep you out. Like that's my favorite thing in the world. One of the things that we're really trying to do, and I'll get to the adoption question, is to saturate our culture with these human beings. We're trying to have them see them, feel them, hear them, experience them. So we do video, we do stills. We just obviously can't bring a phone, but we have a camera every time we go in. So it's really a lot of opportunities. Maybe message me offline and we'll try to figure that out for you. But adoptions for us, happen through the program, through social media. We try to set people up. A lot of times we're dealing with correctional officers and their families, or student participants and their families. I would like to find a better way to advertise some of these dogs. I mean, at the end of the day, we're used dog salesmen, and we really got to boost them up and really talk about all their high points. And that can be difficult to do in prison sometimes. They also just respond energetically different, the dogs do, when they're in as opposed to when they're out. So there's a lot of things energetically to understand about, back of the pack dogs, for instance, are much more, they're going to feel the energy in there a lot more. They're going to be a little bit more reactive, a little bit more wary. And also, you're going to be pairing those energies. So Didontae, as more of an assertive guy, we're going to be moving those energies around in terms of who we're pairing up. So everything is energy, right? And I think, we definitely have some work to do on our adoption side as well. And again, I'd love to talk with you guys about that afterwards.
Well, I feel like we could literally do this for hours. I certainly know I can. And I'm really glad that we've built some connection here as well. I can say, watching all the attendees, there's a lot of really beautiful emotion on this call as well. I think that you've really reached quite a few of the attendees. I would love to bring this conversation over to Maddie's Pet Forum since we're out of time. But please, please, please continue the conversation, because obviously this work is just absolutely incredible. So thank you so much, Zach, Cherie, Didontae, and Brian, for coming to this call, and we will see you all over at Maddie's Pet Forum.
Can anybody stay on for longer?
We do have to end this call, I think, because we're at the end of the hour, but we will continue the conversation. And I don't know if there's this much interest. Yeah. Maybe stay tuned for round 3.
Exactly what I just started doing in February is this, through investing in a felon who was in prison for 15 years, getting a facility here. We only just started our nonprofit in February, and we're so new to doing all this, but we're getting dogs into the prison for 3 months, and we're trying to train our dogs then for foster kids in our community, veterans with PTSD. So yeah, it's emotional for me hearing all of this.
Yeah, Geraldine, I really feel like you are here at the right time in the right place, and we're really glad that you joined this call today.
And I left my number in the chat. My shelter is inside of a state facility, state men's prison in Louisiana. And it's just me and my guys that work for me. And we also have another one at Angola, Louisiana State Penitentiary, but theirs is called Paws, and they train their dogs, and they go to disabled veterans, PTSD, and things like that. So they have an awesome program too, but we're a rescue, adoption, shelter, and we're also the emergency evacuation shelter for the state of Louisiana for hurricane season and such. And we actually were built the year after Katrina because of Katrina. And I could talk
I read
forever.
an article about you guys.
Oh, yeah, I've heard about you guys too. And it's near and dear to my heart. These guys deserve a second chance. These dogs deserve a second chance. And my guys do amazing things with dogs, and I've seen I could talk forever on it. And I'm just an animal person, but I'm all about reform and second chances. And I could talk forever, but my number is on there. If anybody wants to contact me, I have a slew of things I can tell you.
Can I just say one last thing, which is, Irene, thank you so much, like Maddie's fun team, really for supporting me this morning. I was feeling so cruddy. It was really wonderful of you guys. I can't break from tradition. Bobby, man, I love you. I know you're out there somewhere.
Nice. Closing out the call with some gratitude. I love it. All right. Thank you everyone so much. Have a great week.